Welcome to the TCS Think, Create, Success live stream. This live stream will show you how to manifest love, companion, and a life partner resourcefully. We're using a groundbreaking, easy four-step method or process in our newly created essential guide to attract the love of your life. I am Wayne Faulkner, an author, writer, and self-help coach. We have two interesting, aspiring, dynamic guests with us today. Our new guest, Meredith, is making her first appearance on our live stream. Meredith, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Meredith. I am a financial analyst at a large financial institution, and I have an accounting finance background. I'm just really happy to be here. It's a great topic we're about to dive into.
Wonderful. Des is a returning guest. Des, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Des. I am a corporate professional. I'm a content creator and also a lifelong learner of these various subjects and topics. I'm very elated to be a part of this second installment of this live stream, and I'm ready to go.
All right. First, we're going to start off with an age-old question. Are you lonely? Are you not satisfied with the experiences you've had on dating apps and online dating platforms? Are you not satisfied with blind dates, speed dating, singles, meetups, and mixers? We offer a four-step method or process to help all those seeking a companion, partner, wife, husband, and a relationship. Start today to learn how to attract your ideal partner. It would be fun and exciting. In our book, How to Think and Create Success, one of the chapters is dedicated to this topic, how to attract your soulmate. You can read about this concept starting on pages 42 and number 43. One verified purchase of our book has some very interesting things to say when he posted a review on the book. And he said, look at your life differently. This book calls him to look at his life differently. The book had me take a look at my life and to consider, what are my thoughts about handling situations at work, finances, and romance? This is an excellent quick read. It will give you a process to create success. Now, let's look at some of the benefits of attracting your soulmate. You and only you are in control of this process. You have the power of choice. This process and concept and method will eliminate guesswork. It saves time. It empowers you to select the most suitable and compatible partner. The law of probability is skewed in your favor. We're going to find out how we're able to move the needle of probability over in your favor. The law of vibration is used. The law of attraction. Think and create the desired outcome and partner you desire and manifest the love of your life. Four steps, the four-step process to attract love. Now, when we look at these four steps here, select being the first, think and create, meditate, and affirmation being the last one. Now, here's a question that I want to pose to my guests and to our viewers online here with us. Which one of these four would you think would be the most interesting to you and also pose the greatest challenge? If you had to choose one, which one would you say strikes the most interest in your mind and also may pose a challenge to implement on your behalf? What would you say, Meredith?
Um, I would have to say meditate. I actually did get a copy of the book, so just to plug you and reading through the particular chapter that we talked about, and I know you're gonna go into more depth about it in the in the next couple slides. I would say that it's really easy to have an idea about something that you want and even have the kind of faith that that you're gonna get that outcome. But I think just to consistently put in the time and dedication to meditate on something is almost like if you were trying to play the piano and you practice every day, and I think that's something that I haven't fully integrated into my personal life, so after hearing that, I was really intrigued. It ignited some self-reflection on how badly do you want something, whether it's success in your life, your personal life, finances, or whatever the category is. There's a quote that says, "Show me your goals and then show me your calendar." And I always like to think about that goal, and that if somebody tells you they want something, you should be able to see that they're putting that into action in their daily life. And so that just stuck out to me. It's probably something that after this call, I'll have to put more practice into my day to day.
Very good. All right, what's your take on it, Des?
I would love to piggyback off Meredith. I think that was very thorough in her detail on basically what she was explaining. So honestly, I think I believe that the easier one would be the selection process, right? Everyone knows what they want to select from a physical standpoint, right? From a monetary standpoint, we all have these kind of pseudo standards, right? From that selection process. So everybody kind of knows their build a person, right? From a financial realm, from, aesthetics and all these different things. I think also meditation and a little bit of coupled with thinking and creating too, uh, that could probably pose a challenge for people who just really don't know how to do it in the most effective way. They don't understand the methods. And so, they're thinking about what they do not want. And then but they have this idea of what they do want, coupled with, meditating on what, right? Meditating on something that's going to be perfect for them, or meditating on something that's going to be ideal, instead of posing the questions to themselves of am I ready for this particular situation? Am I good enough for this situation? And in my meditation, what am I really seeking and getting the answers for? Like, what is my meditation? What am I tapping into when I'm tapping into consciousness? I think people, when they meditate, if they know how to meditate at all, right, on that particular subject, they don't have any give and take, right? They don't have that part of openness and listening to the voices that guide you through those meditations. That's the point of meditation, is to get away from your thoughts and get away from your standards and get away from what your ego is trying to veer you and steer you in from that selection standpoint, and kind of get you and guide you in the right direction. So I believe a lot of people, including myself, have a tough time getting over that hill, to be able to just learn and hear from consciousness and be able to get those downloads, so to speak, to be able to move forward and know exactly how to tailor what I want and what's going to be attractive to me.
Very good. Very good comments from both guests. Attracting a companion, partner, husband, wife, and romantic relationship is directly related to thinking, creating, and meditating. Finding a life partner is one of the most important decisions we will ever make in our lives. Getting this right leads to happiness, joy, and fulfillment, and peace. If we get it wrong, we're facing an impending disaster. The trick is to attract your preference for a suitable and compatible partner. Now, what we see on the screen now is very, very crucial. Blockages and resistance. There are two primary things that will prevent anyone from attracting and manifesting anything into their lives: blockages and resistance, and being out of alignment with your energy, your vibrational emotional energy alignment. Now, when we look at this chart here, the screen, we see anger, blame, resentment, unforgiveness, past trauma, shame, guilt, and fear. Now, past trauma may be stemming from a relationship that didn't work out. You feel hurt, and you may be in need of some type of therapy. By all means, if you think you need therapy, that's something you should pursue. Should pursue for sure. Okay, anger and blame, resentment and unforgiveness, shame, guilt, and fear. All of these things should be dealt with, because essentially you will have to rid yourself. You're going to have to clear out all the blockages and resistance. You're going to have to come to terms with these things, because they're going to prevent you from having any success in creating what you desire from manifesting. Absolutely. Any comments on this from our guest?
This part here, when I was reviewing the live stream, I looked into this and I was like, wow, this is very beneficial. A lot of these blockages are like very overarching, they fit under the umbrella of manifestation in general, right? Like anger, blame, resentment, unforgiveness, any just manifestation in general. These are general blockages, right? I think when I was looking at this, I think that past trauma really stood out to me, and I really had to kind of look at that and say, okay, for this particular process and these methodologies that we're providing everyone with, that this information that you're providing, past trauma is something that definitely needs to be looked at as a prerequisite before you go and digest all this information, right? Because when you look at a relationship, what's holding you back a lot of the times is the past situations, is the past person, is that those unworked traumas that are directly putting you into situations where you're not finding success and you're not even trying to think about dealing with an ideal person. I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this live stream and the people that are here on the live stream with me will agree that without working through past trauma, it's going to be very tough to even digest this information and make it applicable in your life in an effective manner. Because when you don't work through your past trauma and you don't work on yourself, you're going to just attract and repeat the same situations and the same things happen. I've literally had that happen in my life. And sometimes you got to kind of look at the mirror and hold it up to yourself and say, okay, I have these unresolved issues from that one relationship that is just not resolved yet. Whatever, it's their fault, or whatever the case may be, right? That absolutely has to be worked through, right? That has to be something that you look at and say, okay, what am I actually traumatized with? Because bringing baggage into a relationship is a very, very, you can have all the things, you can have all the physical things, material things checked off. And if you bring those past traumas from that last relationship, you're building a kingdom on weak foundation automatically. No matter how nice that kingdom will be, it's gonna fall regardless. So I implore everyone to really look at the past trauma, and if you're not able to do that yourself with your own resources, like Wayne was saying, please, 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 please get therapy. That's a very viable option, and it'll really help you move forward so you can be successful and serve your partner, your future partner, and actually get what you really want out of your life, and have a peaceful and loving relationship with someone that can be prosperous. So that's my take, and I was very excited to expound upon this particular subject because it relates to me and it relates to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And the previous live stream that we did, we talked very, very in detail about the emotional vibrational frequency chart. And if you will notice what we have on the screen here, all of these correlate to the destructive energy level.
Absolutely.
When there's destructive energy in place, manifestation law vibration will be of no good for you. It will not work. It's not going to happen. Okay. So we have to deal with this. Pursuing versus attracting. If you are pursuing a partner, it is a less than ideal way of getting a partner. Think about the nature of pursuing something. When you're pursuing something, what are we doing? We're running a moving amp. We're chasing it. And if we're chasing something, that means something is moving away from us. Instead of, we want to attract, we want what we want and desire to move to us. Not run away from us, and we have to chase it and pursue it. So pursuing is not an ideal way to receive your mate or your partner, your companion, or the love of your life. You are to attract the partner you desire. First, you must work on yourself. Why? Because you will attract what you are. If you are a dishonest individual, the law of probability says you're going to attract someone who's dishonest. If you are trustworthy, you will attract someone who's trustworthy like yourself. If you are dependable, kind, you're going to attract someone with the same qualities. So working on yourself is very, very important. Yes, everyone wants to attract. It can be done, but it has to be done in the right sequential order to have success. These things must be done. They're prerequisites. You must work on yourself first. Because as it old adage says, I want the right person. I want to meet the right person. Well, that takes two. You're the right person, and this person over here. That person has the same desire. They want to meet the right person. So both of you have to work on yourselves first. Now, we're getting down to where the rubber meets the road, the selection process, which is the first step of the four, the selection process. Now, we're going to spend some time here because this is very, very, very detail oriented, and it must be done in a very, very concise and correct manner to be effective. Okay. Now, there are two camps when we talk about relationships and meeting the love of our life. There's this camp that says, I am not willing to settle. Okay, great. If you have that frame of mind and point of view, you're not willing to settle. Then there's another group that says, I have been dating so long. I've been on every dating app. I've been on all the online platforms. I've gone to mixers, meetups, singles, meet and greets. I've met a lot of interesting people. I had a lot of fun, but it didn't go anywhere. There was no lasting effect with it, So what good did it do? So I had a lot of preferences. I had some criteria that I wanted to choose someone with. So now I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and throw that out the window. I just only want to attract a good person, a nice person into my life. You see the two groups? One that says, I'm not going to settle. So I do have some specifics in mind. The other group is throwing caution to the wind and says, I have no preferences. Now, here's the thing. There is some unintended consequences if you follow the mindset and the choice of having no choice as far as preferences are concerned. Yes, there's some risk factors involved. There's some risk of having no preferences. I call it the NPS, the no preference syndrome. All right, we're going to examine and look at those, and you look at it and see what we need to let our viewers understand about this. Okay, now, when you are selecting, on the screen it says write down specifics only. You want to be very mature about this. Very mature. Be sure it's you and not your ego that's doing the selecting. That is vital. If your ego comes in and take over this process, this is what's going to happen. You're going to make some very, very unrealistic demands and have unrealistic expectations. Probably that no one can meet. Yes. So you have to be on guard for that. You need to be very transparent and honest with yourself. Now, when you think about preferences and choice, this is something that's integrated in every means and fabric of our daily lives. We make choices about where we live, where we work, what type of career we have, what schools we attend, what restaurants we go to, our style and taste of clothing, what type of automobiles we drive. We're making preferences and choices for our individual selves. It comes natural. There's nothing unusual about that. So when you're starting in the area of making one of the most important decisions you will ever make in your life, choosing a partner, it's probably not a good idea, in my view, to say, well, I'm going to throw caution to the wind. I'm going to venture out on this with no preferences in mind. I only want to attract a nice person. Okay, great. So what's your take on the viewpoint of not settling versus caution being thrown to the wind? I have no preferences.
I like the not settling spectrum, but I think going back to some of the earlier points you made, that mindset can only be derived from the self-worth. Like you attract what you reflect. So if you're someone who can reciprocate a lot of the qualities that you want to attract, then by all means, why would you accept like a caliber that isn't equal to yours? So I think that a lot of times we have this unfaithfulness, or we get into this routine that we don't have a lot of optimism towards relationships or what we feel like we can attract. And I think that is kind of hinting to the fact of, okay, where are you in your single season, or what are you doing in your day to day? For example, if you're someone who has, "Oh, I just wanna I'm in a lot of debt," or I'm not really good with money, so I want a millionaire." Well, that doesn't really make sense because, like, you want someone on an equal footing as you. So if you wanna, and my girlfriends and I talk about this a lot, so I'm laughing because these are conversations we have a lot. So it's kind of like, if you want someone that's very financially literate, you have to ask yourself, "Okay, like, can I reciprocate that? Are the men that I'm attracting reflecting the same, like, bad money decisions that I practice?" And I think an example of, maybe you might encounter someone on that lower spectrum of, "I just wanna meet a nice guy," it might be more a reflection of their confidence in themselves, or what they're not working on. Because I think we kind of established, just in the practice of meditation, a lot of it is mindset and what you're open to receive. And so if you're operating on a lower vibration, where you're not fully faithful that this is something that can work for you,
Mm,
or you're kind of just going through the motions, you're not really putting real work into this process, then I think you will get a situation where you're just mindlessly dating, and you don't wanna be alone, and then there's no intention behind what you're doing. And so I'm definitely a firm believer of, you should have standards, and a certain expectation when you're dating, because like you said, it's one of the most important relationships you're gonna foster. And if it's done correctly, then if you can reciprocate your list, then who is anyone to say you can't have that list? So that's kind of my take on it.
Very good. Desmond, do you have a view on this?
I do. So I was discussing some of this with my male colleagues too, and and you called it NPS, right? So it's like
Yes.
no preference syndrome. Um, Not to air my friends out, but a few of us do have that that situation because it when something gets exhausting, right? If you're holding something up, right, and you've been holding it up, and you're just tired of holding it up, you just kind of just drop it, and you're just like, I don't care when I have to hold that up again, right? So and I make that very vague analogy to say that, okay, when you're exhausted, and you don't use these methodologies, you don't use any of these things we're talking about, you're not intentional, you're not meditating on this stuff, you're not focusing in the right directions, right? I mean, it's a two-pronged thing. Like, you can have standards, but like Meredith alluded to, right? Like, are you measuring up to your own standard, right?
Mm.
And so when that hits you in the face, right, then you kind of shoot over to the NPS side and say, okay, well, I'm just running the gambit of it because at this point, in my mind, I'm exhausted, and I'm exhausted from doing a lot of not mental work, like not the work that we're talking about here, not the path of least resistance, which lies within your mind, right? And being very clear and intentional and saying, looking at yourself and having accountability, the buzzword, right? Accountability, and saying, okay, let me lower my standards instead of going over to the no preference zone and just dating and just having fun and you look up and it's 5 years and then you still want to have marriage. I do truly believe that a lot of people, especially the people who are going to benefit from this live stream, do have an end game of being married and having children. Let's face it, like that's what a lot of people want. Humans are made to be with each other. They thrive better. You're healthier. There are studies and statistics that you can look into yourself, is that we're good together. but you got to do the work. We do the work in every other area of our life if we care, right? We do the work in every other area of our life when it comes to employment, when it comes to, looking a certain way, carrying ourselves a certain way. We do that work. But when it comes to making sure that you're going to be equally yoked for someone that you want to be equally yoked, we put ourselves in these spectrums because we don't want to do what you're providing here. We don't want to go through these processes to do these things. And it's pretty interesting because in every other area of our lives, we have a process. Otherwise, we wouldn't be decent human beings. Otherwise, people who are watching this live stream right now couldn't watch this live stream, right? So it's I really, we talk about that all the time, and I'm like, you know what? I had to get in the mindset of like, no, you know what? I really need to dig down and have a preference, because the next thing you know, 5 more years are going to pass by, right? And you just get stuck in NPS, or you get stuck with these pseudo standards, and you look back on yourself, and it's like, like Meredith made a great example. You want someone who's high value, or you want someone that's a multimillionaire, but you have done none of the breakdowns of how much needs to come in, what percentage of the bills would you like to contribute to, none of those things. And you have an impulsive spending problem, and back in the back of your mind, you want that safety net of that man to just take care of it all and be that protector and provider, right? And then on the other side, you got these guys who want women to be submissive, but do they foster those leadership qualities? Do you make this woman feel like, okay, I feel safe and secure with the decisions this person is making? Are you making good decisions in your own life? And it's for everyone to reflect on. But it's your own homework. Do your own homework, right? And when you do your own homework, when you take the test, you're going to score right. You're going to score good. And whoever has the highest grades are going to hang with each other. And who has the lowest grades are going to hang with each other. So very, very, very good topic. I'm very glad I was able to elaborate on some of this.
Okay, very good. Now, here's another point to consider very quickly. The group or the camp that says, I'm not going to settle, it seems to me that this is the group that tends to lean heavily toward the unrealistic demands or expectations.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is by accident or it's intentional, but it seems to go that way. And the group that says, well, I'm throwing caution to the wind, I have NPS, I have no preference whatsoever now, I just want to only attract a good, nice person into my life as the love of my life. That's all I care about. Now, here's the downside for that, in my view, and that is this. If you take on the NPS syndrome point of view, if this happens later in the relationship and those preferences start to come to the forefront in your mind, then you're going to look at it and say, wow, I thought I didn't have any preferences before I met this person, but now that we are into this relationship, I do have preferences. And what I preference and what I like and what I would choose, I don't have it beside me. Mm-hmm. Then that's going to be very detrimental to the relationship, because that person may start to resent that person they have attracted to themselves. They may start to be very judgmental of them, very critical, because they went willy-nilly down the road and says, I don't care about any preferences. I have none. I just want a nice person. Well, you got what you thought it may be, very well be a very nice person. But now those preferences, those choices are starting to creep back into your mind. Well, I do admire this when I'm out and I see people about this trait or this characteristic in this person, but I don't have that in the person that I consider to be my special person. What should I do now? Well, you can't do anything because you chose that person without having anything to choose as a basis for preferences. You said it didn't matter. You just only wanted a person that you thought was nice to come into your life as a special person. Okay? All right. It says to imagine and visualize height, size, appearance, etc. And that's your personal preference and choice, and all physical attributes that you desire in this person. List exactly what you are physically attracted to. You got to be honest with yourself. Now, this is a very, very personal, individual choice and decision that you are making for yourself. Consider the character traits and values that you would appreciate in this person. You got to be honest. You cannot overlook anything. You cannot be dismissive of any of these things because at some point they could come back to haunt you later when you knew deep inside you that there was a certain character trait or a list of character traits and values that you adhere to yourself. Now you have someone in your life that's totally opposite of that. And it's driving you nuts. It's very irritating and annoying because you said those things didn't matter anymore, but they really do. All right. I only suggest that you do not rush through this important part of the process. Are there any additional comments on this topic? The selection process?
Can I squeeze something in real quick
Sure.
about what you said? I wanna hone in on something for everyone that's watching the live stream. So we live in a social era. We're influenced by the people around us. We're influenced by our environment, right? You're only as good as the people around you, right? Take very clear attention to that. And also in your meditation, that helps you get away from a lot of those things. So meditation is huge. It's like drinking water. But to further my point, we live in social media. You got to get away from that. You got to get away from what your friends say, what their expectations are, what they put in the chat, their dating, their expectations, because auto suggestion is real. So when you see a lot of these things and you see people who you kind of resemble and you guys have the same career path and you're like, okay, well, if this person got this and I see this on IG or I see this, you kind of it kind of clouds your own perception and your own honesty of what you want to visualize. So in essence, you're visualizing this person that your friend, has, and you're saying, well, I could have the same thing, but that's truly not for you. Mm-hmm. And you get that person and on paper it looks nice, but it's the exact opposite in every other area of your life. So unplug, right? And that's where I go back to meditation. Unplug and really sit in silence and say, okay, what's for me? That person doesn't have to be this tall or be this size or look like this or act like this and do this, because subconsciously you're really talking about, validation from your friends. You want to be able to say, hey, this is the person I'm bringing to the dinner and feel good about that. But that doesn't really matter at the end of the day because your relationship stands alone in those situations, right? And I think a lot of people get that wrong because they're saying, well, I do know what I want. I do know what I want. I don't want this person. I don't want that person. And they shun away good prospective people because of that secret validation or their ego or what people will think or what your friends will think if you guys go all out and everyone else looks a certain way and this person doesn't measure up. And so now you kind of have this cognitive dissonance between a lot of different things when honestly you weren't true for yourself. I've seen people, I when I go out, I've seen people and I just people watch and I see some of the most, ordinary, just kind of under the radar people, just so happy with each other. And that's exactly who they wanted, right? As opposed to people who they want to look good and everything. But when they leave the parking lot or leave that venue, you don't know how bad it is. And I've been in those situations myself and I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought I really wanted this. On paper, it looks good. People tell me it looks good. That validation looks good. But man, it's like two tigers, when we're alone. It's just like negatives, but everyone else approves. But you're not happy. And so that's very, very, very important when you really go through this selection process, really, really get honest and break away from social norms, unplug from social media and those expectations, and really sit down and say, okay, what qualities did I really admire in other people, and other men that I've seen or other women if you're a man, and make a combination of those things and really manifest what's going to be right for you. So.
I'm so glad you brought that up, just echoing everything you said, because I think that's not something you would immediately think about in this process is the external factors that are kind of skewing your judgment. I also think in the younger demographic and the social media age, it's so easy to look at celebrities who have circumstances that are never equal to ours, and living more ordinary lives. And I would even say, getting back to the selection process and that conversation we had on a lot of, what you attract is what you reflect. I think that's where that whole narrative of self comes into play. And I think it's so foreign, because when you think about, oh, I want to date someone, you're thinking about the other person. But a lot of times, it starts from you, and having that, that conversation, that internal evaluation on what do I really like, and realizing, just like you could have a friend who's in finance and you're like, wow, their career looks great to me, and I love the car that they drive, and I love the posts they make on Instagram about the market. But if I truly am not interested in finance, why am I forcing myself to model my life and my career like that person? And so when you think about it in other areas of your life, where you can have a friend or a family member or someone in your life that you have a great relationship with, and you really admire the way they do certain things, but you truly know that, even though I really love how that works for you, that just isn't me, and that acceptance of some things just aren't for me. I think that's so huge in this process, because just that acceptance, and that level of self-confidence, and that, um I'd be okay with X, Y, and Z, and that would make me happy. And I'm confident enough in my daily meditations, and different things I'm affirming for my life, that these are the things that are going to make me happy. And I want to radiate this confidence when I do attract this person, that I wouldn't be, like we talked about, shame or fear. I wouldn't be fearful of bringing this person to the table, because they're so compatible for me. I think that's huge, and I'm really glad that Des brought that up, because I don't think it's our innate, thought process to think about externals when we're thinking about a relationship. So I thought that was a really great point.
Absolutely. Great points from both guests. We're moving now. Think of this. When you're selecting, if you're placing an order with a giant warehouse and you want your order to be filled correctly and shipped with accuracy, therefore the order will reveal exactly what you desire. And when you think and create as well as meditate, focus on attracting the person you described. That's why it's so vitally important that you write down, state what you desire. Because if you send in an order to any giant warehouse, you send in an order and it's blank, they will have no idea what to ship to you, because you did not specify what you wanted. They cannot fulfill the order. No, they cannot. All right, remain calm and relaxed as always throughout the session. Assume the feeling and awareness that you have received all that you desire. When finished, show gratitude and be thankful until manifestation. Be patient. Thinking and creating, very important as well. Now, this is where we're going to learn a very detailed explanation of the process of attracting your soulmate. I want to be very clear on this. The idea is the person. It is that other human being or soulmate you desire to attract into your life. The idea, this is the process and the sequential order of how this comes about. The idea creates desire. If you have no desire to attract a soulmate, nothing will happen. Desire is the catalyst that starts everything in motion. Desire leads to thinking and creating, which leads to action. I repeat, desire leads to thinking and creating. That's why also it's important to write down the specifics of what you would like to attract. What is it that you want? Okay? And you start thinking about it. That thinking leads to creating. Creating leads to thinking, and thinking leads to creating, which leads to action. The action of what, you may ask? Now, the attracting, the designing, building, developing, forming, arranging, locating, changing, moving, creating elements, etc. All of this would take place in your consciousness while you go about your everyday life. Action will produce an idea, delivering a manifested outcome. Just have faith. Now, let me give a demonstration here. That person or anything else that you desire, if we were not talking about the law of attraction, attracting the love of our life, it could be a home, a new automobile. It is actually in existence. You just can't see it with your natural eyes. So we say it is behind the veil. If you look here, I have something in my hand behind the veil. You can't see it, but it's there. It's physical. It's just as real as what you can see when I move this object in my other hand around in front of the veil. As you think and create and attract, it's going to move from behind the veil to your reality. That person that you desire to attract into your life as the love of your life, your partner, your companion, your husband or wife, they already exist. They are here now. But you just don't know who and where they are. But as you go through this process here, the thinking and creating and the meditation will bring that person into your physical reality, which means this person will have to come into your reality where you can meet them face to face, hand to hand. That's what we aim to do with this process. Somehow we lost Dez. I'm not sure what happened.
I didn't want to interrupt. He put a message in the chat. I think you might have to add him in again.
He's back.
Oh, there he is.
Dez, you're back with us.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had some technical difficulties on my end, but I'm back.
Wonderful. Did you hear the last comments that I made?
Absolutely. I was just in the bleacher, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, Meredith? Do you have anything to add to what I just mentioned?
I want to start off. I really like this part of the 4-step process. Just starting with creating, and you said something that I think is really important that I just want to emphasize,
Sure.
and that's in the idea of creating a desire. You said that comes from the frame of thought that it already exists. You might not see it right now, but it's that level of consciousness and that belief system that it's there. It's there for you to receive. It's not a work of fiction. There is an opportunity to receive that. And I think that just made me think of conversations that some of my friends and I have. And we talk about people's, I would say a general people's opinion or the way they go about things in dating is that they don't place the same level of importance. And I thought that was so huge because when we think about, and I think, Des, you kind of alluded to this earlier, so I'm really glad that there's an opportunity to circle back to it. But in all other areas of our life, whether it's fitness, finance, our careers, just different goals in our life, I think we have a process or we have a certain level of faithfulness and different things that we're going to be willing to put in to achieve those. So you never hear people say that, oh, when I'm 30, I'll start going to the gym. No, if you're really committed to your physical health, you know that is something you have to work at every day, and you're not going to see changes overnight. And you could have a season where you're going to the gym, but you still feel like you're gaining weight, or you're going to the gym and you feel like you're not seeing results, but you wouldn't just quit. And then you'd have that slide where we talked about lower vibrations, where you have trauma and anger and fear. Like you don't have those same conditions. You would keep doing it. And I think the same is with investing. You could have a period in the market where you're losing a lot of money, but you wouldn't just stop investing. You'd have that patience and you reassess different strategies and you keep going. And I think it is very interesting that when it comes to dating, and we talk about finding our soulmate as being this really important relationship in our life, we don't have that same unconditional work ethic in the sense of that we're willing to have this idea, this desire. We're confident it exists. We don't really see it right now. We don't know where it's going to come from, but we know that it's attainable in the sense that we're willing to meditate on it. We're willing to date and weed out different options. I think it's kind of like a one or done situation. I think some of my girlfriends and I will joke. We know guys in our life that had a girlfriend in 8th grade and now they like hate women. They don't think that they're gonna be able to have a successful relationship. And it's so funny to think about that there are people that exist that would base the success of their future marriage off of a middle school relationship. But I
Right.
think it gets you thinking of like, wow, why is it in every aspect of our life, like there's a certain sense of urgency and importance of this is something I have to work at. This is something that's important. I, I want a successful career. And even if I don't get the promotion, I'm going to stay at the company. I'm going to wait it out. But when it comes to dating, it's a one and done, or we get on that spectrum where, well, I just want somebody nice. I'm exhausted. And so I think I really like this thinking and creating aspect that you've implemented in the 4 steps, because it kind of breaks down that false philosophy that um, it doesn't exist, or what, like it's kind of like you can't apply the same metrics and processes to a healthy relationship. So that was a lot of different things that I was hitting at, but I really like that
That was great.
desire to lead and thinking creates, which leads to action.
That was great. I want to touch on it very small. That was very good, Meredith, and
Yes.
it brought up some things for me too. I'm just gonna get on the tail end of it. I know we have to move forward, but so let's kind of unpack like what we're talking about here, just for the viewers, so we can really come out of it with some practicality, right? Um, so when we're talking about thinking and creating, I had to kind of really ponder and understand and really be able to kind of understand what that was, because you're doing it all the time, whether you want, whether it's for good things or bad things. And that's something I've battled with for a very long time, for different things that were happening in my life. But there's a saying that if you do, or if you're really hitting it hard in one part of your life, those habits and those things kind of bleed over into the other parts of your life, and the exact opposite as well. And that's a direct component of desire, thinking, and creating. So when you have one area that you're really really good at, right? For my guys, if you're the picture of physical health, right? You're in shape, you're this, but you're having a tough time with women in your job, then it's like, okay, why don't you take those same concepts? And this is something I thought about too. Is like, why don't I take that same desire and that same discipline to do everything, to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do in the gym, outside the gym, to make sure that my body is a certain way, right? If you're a
Absolutely.
guy or a woman, right? Why don't I take that same thought process and that visualization of me going to the gym, not missing, sacrificing those nights out? Why don't I take that same vigor and say, okay, let me try this I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want this as bad as I want to work out. I want to make sure that I'm financially stable as bad as I want to be able to lift this certain weight or have this certain physique, or, do what I got to do to get the right amount of calories. It's all transitional. It's just like that. And the law of assumption is real. We do that in the things that we're really good at. So I just implore
Yes.
everyone to look at the things that that are really going well in our lives, despite everything that's going on in your life. We all go through things, but look at what's really going well in your life, and you have that picture, that physical picture, and you've assumed and act as if you're that person. You've acted as if you were that promotion at your job, and that's why it manifested for you. So you do the same thing in the other areas of your life, and this is something that I am currently working through too. So we're all working through these things, but I wanted to really hone in on that, because that's the work that you have to do. It's not physical work, it's all mental work, but you're doing it in some area of your life. If you're really good with your family, and you're a really good family person, then you can transition that into getting in the gym. So that way you're going to be more a whole. It's gonna help you with your family. You're gonna be able to do things with your kids. You're gonna be able to do it. All kind of comes together, right? And so I just wanted to kind of talk about that, because there's a lot of things about the law of assumption and thinking to create, and the root is desire. I desire to go on this trip. I desire to do these things, right? You have to make sure that you got to have faith. You don't know how you're going to do. You don't know how, but you made it happen. So those very same concepts need to be applied to the areas that you're just unsure about, but you want to change and know you want to make better for it. And so acting as if, and it's uncomfortable, and it has to be, because you're literally tearing your old self. Your old self is dying and you're creating a new person. You're being transformed by the renewing of your mind, by saying, even in this circumstance, even in this cocoon, I'm shedding into this person in real time. But I have to act as if I'm already that person. I have to act as if I'm already the person who is hitting all these standards to attract that person. And it literally kind of just comes from behind the veil, is what he's speaking of. And it's very small things in your life that you'll see change. Do not miss the small things. That's something that I've had discussions with people, and I started to be aware and say, wow, very small things have started to shift in my life. Not huge things, but very small things. And the small things happen. So you get the rain before the thunderstorm, right? So that happens. So be aware, the small wins, the small things, be aware of that, build upon those things, and continue to act as if, have faith and believe. So
Excellent points. Excellent. Moving to the third step of the 4-step process. Now, this is your superpower. Superpower is here on demand and at your disposal. Meditation. Meditate for 1 hour each morning, starting at either 4 or 5 a.m. Now, you may wonder, says, why those particular times? Why not any other time? Well, here's a very key thing to know. After 4 or 5 a.m., everyone is starting to awaken from a night's sleep. And they're going to start bombarding the atmosphere, the universe, with thought energy. And the atmosphere will become very cluttered. So the early time of the day, in the wee hours of the morning, 4 and 5 a.m., the atmosphere, the universe is uncluttered. You will have no interference with your thought energy in your meditation process. This is your superpower. When you meditate, you're going to sit very still. Now, someone starting out says, wow, an hour? Can I focus for an hour, do this for an hour? Well, build up to it. It's sort of like walking. If you desire to have a goal, say, I want to walk 3 miles one day. Well, starting out, you may be able to walk, 400 yards and stop and rest. Okay, but keep going until you reach your goal of 3 miles. Well, you keep doing this until you work up to the discipline where you can sit and meditate for 1 hour. And from there on, you're in sync with 1 hour each day. Now, when you're meditating, never try to force an outcome. Stay calm and relaxed at all times. Now, because we are thinking and creating, selecting, meditating on a soulmate, a partner, a companion, or the love of our life, that's what you want to meditate about. That's going to be your topic or subject matter when you meditate. Now, you can go on to something else that you have a concern with. But if this is the only thing that you want to focus on for the full time that you meditate, be it 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 or an hour, focus on the criteria of your selection, your choices, your preferences. Focus on being open and ready to receive this wonderful gift of a new person, your soulmate, into your life. Being open to having any of those challenges, those blockages and resistance being dealt with. This is a perfect time and environment for you to deal with those, because this is your superpower. Really, it is. Once you start this and get in tune with this, you're going to know, wow, this has been the missing link for me all along. I had no idea what the benefits are when we meditate. and everything will come together. It's amazing. I can't really even describe with words all of the wonderful things that's going to happen in your meditation process. Any ideas, inventions, your creativity, uh, problem solving, your analytical ability will improve, your thought processes, your home life, your social concerns, everything is dealt with through meditating. This is how again, this is the superpower. This is the missing link to get everything done. As you go about and through your meditation session, you're going to be amazed at the information that you receive about what you desire to manifest into your life.
Wow.
You're going to see all integral, amazing parts of it from beginning to end. Now, it may come, immediate. It may be an interval of, you know, a, a middle part, and it may be prolonged. You may get a series of information given to you about what you are meditating about. In one session, you may get the whole picture. It may be over several days as you connect the dots and see the whole situation unfold in your mind as you meditate. Any problem, any solution that you need, I guarantee you, you can have it at your disposal through meditation. It's just that powerful. And once you start it, again, you're going to realize and see some things. Wow, it's so amazing. The connection you're going to have, yes, with the ultimate creator who created all of us in his image and in his likeness. It's amazing. All right, what's your take on meditation? Any comments from our guests?
Well, I have a very small comment on this. Just from just me being very open about my personal experience with this practice here. Uh, the concept of you crawl, you gotta crawl before you walk, right? Is very important, and you don't beat yourself up over it. You know, you're not gonna be a sage or a Buddha. Within the time of a year. It takes very, very, very built up consistency. That's what it takes, and that's something I had to tell myself is that slow and steady wins the race, right? Just being very patient with myself. It's just the intention into consciousness, right? Like when I look at it, I finally kind of understood that it's like, well, I'm trying, right? The intention is there, the desire is there, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes here, even if it's a really good one, 45 minutes. It's just kind of how your days are. Some days are not that good. Some days are hectic and crazy. And, your perception and the way that you look at it is that, well, at least, I'm grateful that I was able to get through that day. I'm grateful that I was that productive. I'm grateful that I'm so valuable that my day was that crazy, right? And then you have days that are very full of flow. You can get in there and really get some good work done within an hour and 15 minutes. And I used to ask myself, why am I not consistent within an hour? And I finally understood that it's not about setting a timer and just doing it for that till the timer stops. It's about really being intentional, and really being able to say, no matter what, I'm going to put that first in my day. The 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning is just saying, when I wake up, I'm going to put that first. Everything else is subsequent to that. Like I'm going to put that first, whether it be 10 minutes. I'm running late today. I got to get this 20 minutes in. And that's just how I operate now. I've just done away with the concept of an hour and it has to be really focused in, because you're going to have your battles. You're going from programming that's been however long before you've seen this live stream, frankly. So you got to know that it's gonna be times where it's just not gonna be what it is or what you think it's supposed to be. And you have to be okay with that, because what I believe is that the intention and the desire, as long as you're trying to put it first, you know, the small wins add up, right? And then the next thing you know, you're really getting into a flow state. So that's my journey with this. I'm it's no respected person. I'm in it just like everyone else that's viewing this live stream and the people that are part of the live stream. Everyone's on different levels, right? But at the end of the day, you're gonna get there. It's the same. It's just like graduating from high school. You were in kindergarten, you seen people walking from the high school. You're like, man, I'll never get that big. I'll never be able to go to that big school. And the next thing you know, you're in 12th grade. Like, man, I'm so ready to graduate. It happened. So that's what I want to share with everyone. It's a journey. It's not
Yeah.
getting somewhere. It's not getting to enlightenment. Enlightenment happens surpassing a lifetime, I believe.
Mm.
So you gotta understand that, and understand that it's not to get things either. It's not like like a slot machine. This spiritual slot machine. It's not, oh, I'm just gonna meditate so I can get this. Yeah, that's what it's about, but it's more about changing the concept of yourself and being one with consciousness to be able to navigate and say, okay, are these things right for me? Is everything's going to work out for me somehow, some way, because I am one with consciousness, and I surrender and I allow these things to come to me. Like Wayne is saying, the right things come to me. I don't have to do any work, but they're going to come in their divine timing. It's not your timing. It's divine timing. And when you surrender that and let your ego go, because that's what's really holding you up, your intellect, when you let that go, it all starts to flow. And I think Wayne can attest to this for sure. That's how it goes. And you just have to really understand that. So I want to share that for everyone viewing this.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, moving on to the final step in the 4-step process. That is the affirmation that you're going to make twice within a 24-hour period. In the morning when you are waking up, make your affirmation, and right before you go to bed. Now, the affirmation is absolutely powerful. How to attract the ideal wife? Well, naturally, I'm a man, I'm saying that. But if you were a woman, like Meredith is, she would change the wording to say, how to attract the ideal husband. Now listen to the words that you are affirming. You're thinking and creating as you say these words. You are creating your words that you are speaking are affecting physical matter. Words are energy. Thought energy is moving out into the universe. And that thinking and creating, you are attracting a physical person who's behind the veil, who's waiting for you. You're going to move them from behind the veil into your physical reality. Yes. Affirm as follows. I now attract the right woman who is in complete accord with me. Sounds like that's lined up with the selection process to me. Yes. This is a spiritual union because it is divine love functioning through the personality of someone with whom I blend perfectly. I know I can give to this woman love, light, peace, and joy. I feel and believe I can make this woman's life full, complete, and wonderful. I now decree that she possesses the following qualities and attributes. She's spiritual, loyal, faithful, and true. She is harmonious, peaceful, and happy. We are irresistibly attracted to each other. Only that which belongs to love, truth, and beauty can enter my experience. I accept my ideal companion now. As you think quietly and with interest on the qualities and attributes which you admire in the companion you seek, you will build the mental equivalent into your mentality. Then the deeper currents of your subconscious mind will bring both of you together in divine order. Wow. Amazing. Yes. And you can see throughout this affirmation, all of the 4 steps are being exercised throughout this entire affirmation that you're going to make twice per day. once in the morning when you are waking out of bed, and once before you go to bed at night. You are affirming, you're speaking it into existence. You are thinking and creating and attracting. What's your take on this? Any comments from my guests?
I would just have to say I'm really drawn to everything that this statement possesses, and it's something that I'm gonna write down after this live and post on my mirror. Something that I can see every day. I really like how it's an all encompassing statement, and I think we've said a lot of words on the call, and for people that are tuning in that are newer to the rhetoric of what's an affirmation, what's meditation, and different things. I think like breaking it down on a fundamental level. And affirmation, you talked about words being energy and currents that we speak truth into our lives. And affirmation is a statement of truth that you're essentially putting into fruition. And so I think in terms of finding a soulmate and what we want to be true in our lives is taking that first step of what do you want, and maybe you don't believe it right now, but repetition and practice, everything that you would if you were learning an instrument or whatever area in your life that we don't look at outside of a relationship. Everything takes practice, and you don't immediately gravitate to it, but it's those daily efforts that it starts to become more true in your life. And so I really like this, in that you found a way to incorporate all the four steps, but also in a statement that daily putting the time in to read this and always going back to it, whether it be you're washing your hands and you see it on the mirror and different things.
Mm,
Um, eventually, the different qualities, and maybe it's other qualities you want to replace this with. Um, Over time, you won't need the card anymore. It'll just kind of be like song lyrics that you know, and it's becoming more true to your life, and it's
mhm.
becoming more tangible to receive. So I really like this, and I also wanted to go back when we were talking about meditation, because again, for people that are tuning in, that I'm definitely newer to meditation. I'm a big affirmation person, but it's really hard for me to find a quiet place and just shut off everything and really just tune into consciousness. And so what I wanted to pose a question, but also share kind of what meditation looks like for me in the earlier stages
Mm,
of practicing this, because it's not gonna look like meditation is not gonna look the same for everyone. And I want to say that because it's important, because I think like anything, we can be turned off to something if we feel like we're not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And I think in the earlier stages of meditation and visualization go hand in hand, of just dedicating that time in the morning to
mhm.
block out everything. And I think for me, at least, thinking about dating and who I want to attract, it can be as simple as I'm closing my eyes and I'm thinking about the conversations I would want to have with someone, because now I'm
Yes.
kind of manifesting my value system. So for example, faith is really important to me. And I think in this day and age, we can feel uncomfortable trying to talk about spirituality and different things. So you're manifesting, and you're taking your quiet meditation time to just think about what would a healthy conversation look like with someone who has the same values as me, or maybe you struggle with confidence. So visualizing yourself in a social setting and someone approaches you, becoming more comfortable and confident in the fact that I desire this relationship and it's attainable, and I'm seeing myself in a dating atmosphere. Or maybe it's we talked about physical qualities, because it's okay that you might have a height preference, or I think culturally you might want certain cultural elements that you would want to date someone, because you
Hmm.
can share that with. I don't think there's any shame in that. So just seeing yourself with someone that you're attracted to, I think those are important. I wanted to highlight those because we're using a lot of these words, and people like myself might be newer to these concepts. And so you might hear, oh, you need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meditate. And then you're like, I don't even know what that is. And so finding ways to think about what's practical, or honestly just what do you feel like is missing in your life, but you like to see come to truth. I think those are very easy ways where starting off maybe 5 minutes in the morning, it'll become very easy to ease into that hour because it's um it's becoming more natural, and it's something that you're trying to manifest true in your own life.
Very good. What's your take, Des?
I mean, it's almost like Meredith was synced with my thoughts
Very in
um,
tune, yeah.
completely. Very very in tune. I don't really have much to say outside of outside of piggybacking off what she was saying. It's scary how it was just everything coincides with what I thought, because everything is here, and I believe that, you know, when you see uh, affirmations like this that's written from someone, it's almost a true testament of what consciousness can be a byproduct of, helping serve someone else. This is here to help serve people, and this is a byproduct of what consciousness and what these steps could do for you. If you do sit and meditate, you'll be able to come up with these types of affirmations to help serve other people, and you know, and in turn, that becomes kind of a um, a chain link to help serve others. I'd also say, going away from the meditation piece and affirmation, like Meredith said, it's very true. The visualization standpoint on things too. I know a lot of people aren't big on affirmations. For me, I wasn't really big on affirmations. Um, Actually, going through affirmations. So what I would do is, you know, you could basically say these affirmations and record yourself saying these and just listen to them. You know, tailor these things to where it works for you, right? It's just like going to a class, right? Everyone goes to the class, but there might be certain tweaks and things that you take to be able to retain the information, or to be able to understand, to prepare for the test that's upcoming, right? Everyone has their methods, right? Even if you have a study group, everyone still has their little quirks of how they highlight things, how they tailor things for themselves. So this information isn't just you have to do it this way. This is just a rubric for you to do these things, but tailored to your way to where it's going to be applicable, and that it'll be effective for you. The meditation piece, I want to just kind of finish off with that. One thing that I did to kind of help me be consistent, you know, starting off, because I call it the training wheel concept, and that's in every area of life. Like when you were riding a bike, you thought you didn't need the training wheels until you had to make a turn or a zero turn, or come up off of the driveway and you fell, right? So you're like, well, someone said you probably need the training wheels until you figure out how to make a turn without braking, or whatever the case may be. And I use that analogy to say guided meditations. Find a really good guided meditation. Find YouTube has a lot of different things where they have a background music to just get you focused and get you there, and help combat just the noise that happens sometimes with meditation too, because you're going to experience that, and don't let that deter you. It happens to us all, because you're coming out of one programming and you're going into a totally different concept of things. You're changing yourself, right? And sometimes it's growing pains. So with meditation, you might get in there and you're okay, now I can do it for 20 minutes, but man, my mind wasn't clear. Throw the training wheels back on, right? And say, okay, let me throw this guided meditation on. I've tried that, and it really helps me stay focused. I just listen to the music, and then it gets me back in that state, as opposed to me just kind of being out in the wild with that morning, and I'm fighting these thoughts. I'm fighting resistance, and I didn't have a beneficial work session for that 30 minutes, or that time. So find resources and find things to help tailor this information to where it works for you, because we're all different. I really believe that if you do that, you can stick with it, because the main thing is consistency, and having faith with this stuff. And you don't have to believe right now, but you have to believe in the concept of it, right? You don't have to believe in it all, because it's so new. You have to believe in the concept of it. If it's just like a child, when a child says, when your mom says, hey, don't go that way, you don't believe in the repercussions of going that way. You don't know what danger lies that way. You believe in the concept of your mom saying don't go that way. And so when you're with friends, you're like, hey, let's go this way, dude. My mom said I can't go that way. I just don't go that way. I don't know what's over there, but I just don't go that way. And that's the same thing with this. You're operating as a child, getting into these things, and just give yourself that grace and just believe in the concept of I want to do better. And we all kind of figure out, like, if you're listening to this live stream, we all kind of figured out, like, I want to do better. I want to get into this. So what do I do? This is this. So you take this and say, okay, how bad do I want this? Okay. I'll do anything to make this work. Like, I'll do anything to make this work, right? I'll be as resilient as possible. And so that's just what I'm saying, is we're all in this to do this. And we all have our ups and downs with this stuff, but this is the resource, right? So you take this resource and just stick with it. Just be consistent, because that's the main thing, is to be consistent. And then the next thing you know, your life changes. So
Excellent points from both of our guests. All right, this is concluding our live stream. It's been fantastic. And I want to say this. When we meditate, we're listening to God. When we pray, we're talking to God. Yes. That's why meditation, again, is your superpower. That is the whole totality of this whole process. Meditation. You're listening to God. It's been great. We've enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time on another live stream. Goodbye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.